Hello and welcome to the Mississauga North Baseball Association Grassroots Information Session. This was performed live on April 21st, 2013 at a parents' meeting, and the intention was to give a background on the new changes that Mississauga North is making in their baseball development system, as well as some details and some information about the Rally Cap program that's going to be implemented fully in the 2013 season for children ages 4 to 8. To give a little background about myself, I am the manager of player and coach development at Mississauga North. I've been a coach for over 10 years, played as a child. I'm hugely passionate about the game, currently coaching the rep system and the house league system. I've done research on the long-term athletic development program that's been put out there by Sport Canada and adopted by Baseball Canada, and think there's a lot of things in there that is going to allow us to make sure that we maximize on our athletes' potential, as well as keeping our children playing the game of baseball long into adulthood. So to get started, basically just want to start by asking a simple question, and that would be, what does a young athlete need most to reach their potential? You know, is it baseball fundamentals? Is it mental training? Is it flexibility and nutrition? Well, as far as I'm concerned, the most important thing for a young athlete is their family. As you can see these pictures with Cal Ripken Jr., and Roberto Alomar, young Derek Jeter, Bryce Harper, and Hank Aaron, all of these people in common have a strong support group at home who have either just maintained discipline and have these children get enough sleep, just encourage them to go out and work on the things that their coaches have told them that they need to work on, or just to be there to give them confidence and understand that this is all a game and to keep them fun and motivated moving forward. One of the pictures that I think is really important in this collage is this picture of Hank Aaron and his mom. When I was putting some pictures together, I found this picture online, and I've seen it before, but I always thought that his mom was just kind of congratulating Hank Aaron here because this is when he passed home plate and broke Babe Ruth's record. Well, it turns out that, you know, as we have learned, when he was about to break the record, people were threatening to kill him and assassinate him because they did not want him taking over Babe Ruth's home run record. So as he passed third base and touched home plate, he looked up and he saw his mom coming into him. He said, Mom, what are you doing?" And she wrapped her arms around him and said, "If they're going to get you, they have to go through me first." And I thought that was such an important picture to put up here because it shows the type of sacrifice that parents will make to make sure that their children are safe. Not just safe though, but also that they can, you know, have opportunities in life to have great successes. So the agenda for this program will basically be, what is Mississauga North baseball? What is the new direction and how is it going to affect you and your child? What is long-term athletic development? What is Rally Cap? And I want to touch a little bit more on the Toronto Blue Jay Clinic. During the live segment of this program, we did do a demonstration of the Rally Cup structure and some baseball fundamentals, which will be found on a different area of our website later on. Mississauga North Baseball Association is a non-profit community sports organization that has provided baseball and softball for over 40 years. We have about 200 players right now in both grassroots house league baseball and softball, and a competitive rep system in both baseball and softball. The way that a community sports organization works is it's all run by volunteers. Nearly all of the volunteers that are helping out are actually paying members who have registered their own children to play baseball or softball. So as opposed to a for-profit or a city program, MNBA can only survive if each of its paying members take on an active role in the operation. So when you sign up for Mississauga North Baseball, you are not simply paying for a service or for somebody to provide to you. You are investing in a community organization, and you can reap the rewards of that investment by putting some more extra time and effort to helping to run the programs. All parents are responsible for the quality of programming that their child will receive. Parents are required to provide a minimum level of volunteering assistance. Maybe sometimes that just means coming out to information sessions or just engaging and helping with some of our fundraising things by buying a ticket or buying a chocolate bar, something like that. Or we strongly encourage you to become coaches, development team members, fundraising team, board of management, or even on the executive itself, and come and take an active role in offering a direction and a strategy towards making this the greatest baseball association across the province. The best way to ensure that your child has a great experience is to become involved. Before we get into the new direction of what we're doing at Mississauga North, I want to touch a little bit on the old development structure that we did have in place. This old development structure is actually the current development structure across the province. We're trying to make some changes across the whole province altogether, but we feel that as if we just lead the charge and lead the change ourselves and prove to everyone that it works very successfully and does keep children playing longer and maximizes on their potential, then maybe they'll be able to make those changes easier. I'm not going to go through this whole slide, but there's a couple of things that I really want you to understand about the old development structure. Number one is that we have separate islands of programming that are being produced across the province. There's a House League Grassroots system, a rep system, and an elite system. House League is generally your entry level. You start off at T-ball, and then around the age of 8, you can actually get selected to go onto a rep team, which would be going into a separate system. The players who are not skilled enough or just choose not to go to the rep system remain inside the House League Grassroots system. Now, to date, and most associations across the province, what happens is that it's strictly done by a parent volunteer who helps to be the coach, and there is no certification or instruction. There is no development program. In fact, basically all they do is just go onto a diamond and play 2 games from about May to August. Coaches decide on a practice schedule, so you get luck of the draw, where one team will have an amazing coach who is very organized and gets everybody together and develops those players very well. And you have another coach who basically just maintains those 2 games from May to August. You play within your own association, so the players never get to experience going to another town or another city and seeing other type of players, although there are some select teams that play within the MNBA. In Mississauga, it's the Mississauga Baseball Association, and some of them play outside. It's a little bit higher skill level, and they'll play within Mississauga themselves. The rep system, however, is selected players from House League. The coaches must have NCCP training, initiation training at the minimum, to be able to be on the field. Usually there's year-round practices, or at least an extended spring training from about January to April, where there's indoor facilities that are used. There's 2 to 3 tiered programs, like a AAA, a AA, in cities here with our Mississauga North Association, and then you would have C and D class classifications for smaller centers. Each team is self-regulating, which means that they basically are in charge of purchasing their uniforms, paying the umpires, scheduling their practice schedules, and all of those type of things. Again, what happens there is you have one coach who may be a little bit more organized than the other, so you're not getting every player to have the same standard development procedures being done. You play against the regional associations, and this is sanctioned by Baseball Ontario. Baseball Ontario, they are the provincial sports organization in Ontario, and they only govern and constitute this area right here, which is rep. They do not constitute anything to do with grassroots or anything to do with elite. To touch base on what the elite program is that it's usually outside of the non-profit association, where it is a privately run organization. There's semi and pro instructors. Generally, a lot of them have played pro ball or coached at the college level, played at the college level. Usually there's large tuition fees. You're selected from across Ontario, so these players are not just from Mississauga North area, for example. They would be from all over Ontario, and they specialize in development, recruitment to schools, exposure to national teams, potentially making it to the major leagues through draft picks. To touch on some of the major issues with this structure is that, number one, each progressive island takes the best and leaves the others depleted. So when this child who is 8 moves on to the rep system, and the coach of that child, generally one of the coaches of those children, will become the coach in the rep system, Nothing is given back to the House League and Grassroots. So in essence, what you're doing is you're taking the best players and the most organized coaches, taking them out of the system and letting the rest of the people there just try to fight and survive to stay around. And the same thing applies around the 15 and 16 year age group, where you have the most skilled players and the most skilled coaches moving into the elite system, which means that around the midget age level, which is around 15 and 16 and 17, those teams sometimes collapse and are not able to go on until junior because those players have been moved on to the elite programs and the rep programs cannot survive any longer. The problems with this old structure, specifically for this presentation, I'm going to talk about the House League and the Grassroots. And why I find this is so important to talk about them is that they really constitute about 75%, 80% of our baseball players in the province. So this is where we have to make sure that if we're losing players in this category, we're losing the most of our players. We really need to make sure that we focus in on retaining them and keeping them playing for a longer period of time. The House League issues is you have low quality baseball. When you take the best players and the best coaches and leave everybody else out there without any support, obviously the pitchers are not going to be able to throw strikes, therefore the batter cannot learn how to hit better, therefore the fielders can't field a ball because the players are just walking, and it just altogether is a very low quality of baseball. Children enroll in other sports because of it. So by the time they are 8 or 9 years old and they begin to pitch and the game just isn't fun anymore, the parents are going to look around and see if there's another sport that they can go into. There's low volunteer due to limited knowledge. These type of programs and presentations that I'm giving right now, they haven't existed and they mostly don't exist across the entire province. So coaches aren't being produced because nobody is going through and explaining to them that they need to step up as parents and they need to take an active role in coaching and providing them with support and information on how to coach. Nothing to replace the good coaches and players once they enter rep. And so what happens as a result of all of these other issues, the most important problem that we have is that children are quitting baseball by the age of 9. By the age of 9, we've decided whether or not a player is going to be in the rep system and has an opportunity to increase his athletic development, or if he's just going to stick back and just play recreation and in a very boring system. It significantly reduces the opportunities that every young child has at having an athletic baseball career. So what's new with MNBA? Well, in 2002, Mississauga North identified some key problems with the baseball structure in Canada overall, and specifically in Ontario. And there were two key issues identified. Number one, children were quitting the sports at an early age. And number two, there was a dramatic gap between the grassroots and the competitive athlete development. On one hand, you have grassroots who are just playing 2 games per year or per week for approximately 2.5 months of the year, and you have the competitive kids who are already at a higher level by the age of 8 or 9 who are spending 7-8 months developing and making sure that they enhance their athletic development. As a result of these identified issues, MNBA has made some progressive changes over the last year. Now this next slide that I'm showing you is basically the new structure that we're implementing at Mississauga North alone. No other associations in Ontario have an organizational structure like this. This is a progressive plan that will take some time to roll out, but we have already in year 1 gone leaps and bounds and really attacked this new structure and implemented a lot of the things in it. So we have a grassroots house league system now that has coach certification by rep managers. So as a player and a coach progress to the rep system, we have a development progression back because those people come back to grassroots that they've left, that they started with, and give back and continue to develop the players at their age group. So if you're a coach who has a child who's 2003, like myself, who has went to the rep system, well, now I maintain constant support and helping to run clinics and mentoring different house league coaches of that 2003 age level. So it's like I've never left. I've moved on with my child, and I've made my choice to go into the rep system, but I'm also making sure that any other child at that age group in my city is still going to get an opportunity at some great practice structures and development programs. We've implemented the Rally Cap program to make sure that we are focusing on development at a young age. We cannot accept that a 4 and 5-year-old can go and play a game when they have no idea how to throw, how to hit, how to run, what are the rules. It's just absolutely ludicrous that we have done it this way for so long without giving a good developmental structure to the game first, and then being able to have a better quality 9 and 10 and 11-year-old baseball game afterwards when they begin pitching. We've created a winter development program for the Grassroots system. So before, where we would just have rep teams who would be using indoor facilities from January, February, March, April, and being able to hone in on their basic fundamentals at that time before they get out onto the fields, we're also offering that for the Grassroots programs. How can we do that? Well, if we take advantage of our large membership group and have our rep system lease space directly from the association, we're able to have our own indoor training facility and subsidize the cost to have affordable training on Saturdays and Sundays throughout the winter. I'm not going to discuss too much about what we're going to be doing with the rep program, but as you can see, we're also including elite programs in our close area. We have the Ontario Blue Jays, which are an elite program, and we're working towards having them assist our rep system and our rep coaches to make sure that we can kind of filter down the top level coaching that is available, have it come all the way down the developmental progression all the way to our Grassroots system. So how is MNBA solving these issues, and how are they implementing what I had just shown you on that last slide? Well, our year one was the foundation, and that was establishing that solid Grassroots program. So this is things we've already done. We created an indoor training facility by having the rep teams lease the weekday space. We were able to offer affordable winter training for clinics in the house league and the Grassroots systems. Over 90 players trained 2 hours a week from October to April, and did a lot of just different motor skills development, agility training, working on agility ladders and jumping hurdles, and a lot of those things early on in October, November, and December. And then as we approached into January, February, March, we started to work on throwing and hitting and fielding so that we increased the skill level, and it worked out really well. In order to do that, obviously one coach can't do it all. So we created a development team that was made up of experienced rep and house league coaches, and they ran the programs every weekend. Fantastic volunteer support that really reached out and made some positive impacts in our city. House League Coaching Certification. Well, this program that we ran was followed up by a instructional period from our rep coaches who came in and taught all of the basic fundamentals. We are working towards having our House League coaches be NCCP trained and have their certification. However, it is a high cost structure right now, which we are working on to see how we can do this affordably to make sure that we do get the NCCP training, but we don't also ask a parent who is already investing a lot of time and effort within the association to put out $150 to become certified. We have an emphasis on development and recreation. We want to change the direction, the current 4 to 8 year old house league program from basically just being play 2 games per week when they don't even know what they're doing to a rally cap model of development that, number one, is fun and develops them, and also is able to measure and monitor their skill level so that we give them different colored hats and we understand who needs a little extra work. So that parent who is now a coach can easily recognize the type of attention he needs to give to each player. This is all spurred on by the long-term athletic development program. Science, research, and decades of experience all point to the same thing, that kids will get active. They will stay active long into adulthood and even reach the greatest heights of sport achievement if they do the right things at the right time. And this is the logic behind the long-term athletic development model. The bottom line for your child, if you've enrolled them in Mississauga North, with the programs we're putting in, we're going to put an emphasis on development at the early stages of your child's athletic career. And they will build the skills, the knowledge, and confidence that will encourage them to live a long athletic life. So when they throw and they field and they hit and they run and they learn this all properly from the ages 4 to 8, well, they're going to continue on and play at mosquito level, which is 9 and 10, and then even further into Pee-wee and Bantam, and hopefully they'll start to continue to play baseball into adulthood. Also, by developing properly early, if they do choose to have baseball as a career or a method to be able to attain a scholarship when they're 17 and 18 years old, well, this is going to help them reach their full athletic potential. So the Rally Cap program, it's designed by Baseball Canada. I think it's an exceptional program, and it creates more learning opportunities and interest in the game. Now, through slight modifications of an actual baseball game, we can ensure that we are all meeting the goals of the long-term athletic development. The key components are: number one, each team will have no more than 8 players. Why would we do that? Well, you'll often see in a T-ball game and a rookie ball game that maybe the ball goes to the outfield once, maybe twice per game. So why are we torturing our children by making them go stand and pick grass out in the outfield? They don't need to be out there, so let's limit the amount of people on a team so that the positions that are being played are positions that the ball is actually getting to. Then, let's utilize that space by, number 2, having 3 teams be on the field. So two teams can play in the infield where the ball generally stays, and then have the outfield utilize that space to have another team out there that will be doing a structured practice every single game day. That guarantees that we don't just have a lucky coach with a lucky team that is doing a practice on the weekend, but every game day will also incorporate a practice. Number 3, each team will rotate through a game on the infield and a practice in the outfield. Number 4, while we encourage competition between the players, no scores or standings will be recorded during the regular season. Is this because we fear that we don't want to tell a child that he's lost? No, not at all. We actually encourage competition when there's throwing at targets and something that they're able to actually try to understand, and they know what they're doing to compete. But how can we have our children compete against each other in a baseball game when they don't even know the rules, they don't understand what's going on? It defeats the purpose. Number 5, at the end of the regular season, a round robin and a double elimination festival will be held to determine a championship team. This won't be done at the very youngest level, but in the senior T-ball and in the junior and senior rookie levels, we're going to have an amazing tournament at the end, an amazing festival that's going to have all of these well-developed players have an excellent time out on the fields. Just to touch base on the Rally Cap structure, as we talked about, there will be 2 teams playing on the infield with 1 team practicing out on the outfield. Every 20 minutes, a coach will yell rotate, and that team that was doing the practicing comes in to play the nice game in the infield. And one of those teams will go out to practice again, 1 more rotation after 20 minutes, and the final remaining team would come in and do the practice in the outfield. Some important notes that we're going to be implementing at Mississauga North is that all players will bat through the order with no 3 outs rule. So we're going to have approximately 6 to 8 players per team. Even if the player is called out at first base, they will go sit on the bench. We are going to tell them that they are out, and they will understand that rule. However, we will have everybody bat through the orders because simply the most enjoyable thing for the children, as we found over the years, is to hit the ball. So let's give them as many repetitions during the game to be able to do that as possible. After the coach yells rotate, we want to make sure that we finish up with the current batter. We don't want to have a player who's had 2 pitches coming in off the pitching machine and tell him, okay, rotate, you're done. We'll allow him to continue on with his final at bat. The best part of Rally Cap is, of course, the hats. I've experienced this winter by doing these winter programs, and we use the Rally Cap system as a way to do the programs. And what was basically going to happen is we're going to have 3 evaluations days throughout the year. The first is going to be on May 4th, 2013, and that will allow us to be able to create the teams by having competitive balance of skill. We will basically take a look at every one of the players' throwing, receiving, hitting, base running, and baseball knowledge area, and whatever they're able to achieve, we will check off. When they're able to complete all of the same color criteria, they will earn that cap. So for example, if one player is able to throw 7 out of 10 balls to a partner from 10 feet, as well as field 10 of 15 ground balls from 15 feet, hit 10 out of 15 squarely off the tee, run through first base and curl into foul territory, and name all of the positions on the field, they would earn themselves a gray hat. Approximately 6 to 8 weeks later, we'll do another evaluation, and hopefully he'll be able to have increased his skill, or she will be able to increase their skill and achieve another colored hat moving up to the black. We have found that this is an amazing tool for the players to self-motivate and try to improve on their skills because they do want to get another colored hat. Here are some brief pictures of the system that we did this winter, which was an absolute blast. We had a softball group that came in there as well, and the youngest group was right here, 4 to 6 years old, and the kids just had a ton of fun, as well as they improved very well. One last thing I want to touch on is that we are hosting a Toronto Blue Jay Clinic on July 20th in 2013. It will be held at River Grove Community Center. The Toronto Blue Jays are actively supporting Mississauga North baseball and baseball in general and the growth of it across the nation. But with Mississauga North, they really are focusing in on and understanding that we're doing a lot of things to try to grow the game. So we really think it's important for everybody to give back to the programs they're offering us. We really would appreciate for you to sign up. We had an amazing time last year. 175 children showed up to River Grove, and it was one of the greatest instructional clinics that they had all year. So if you want to just quickly take a view of this video, and we'll go on. It was a huge success. Had a great time last year and hope to see everybody out there this year. Well, that concludes the presentation for the Grassroots information session that we held on Sunday, April 21st. We thought we would post it here on our website so that if you were unable to attend, you would get some more information. And before I go, just like to leave you with a quote from one of my mentors and one of the people that I look up to, Jackie Robinson, who said that a life is not important except the impact that it has on other lives. And I really want you to take that into consideration this summer when you're out on the fields and volunteering to coach or just being a parent who's helping out. We really can grow our communities through the game of baseball and make it a much better place to live for everyone.